everyone, this is Marika and welcome back to another session of Community Health Nursing with me. So in our previous sessions, we have discussed about the aspects of physical environment of a man, which includes air, housing, sanitation, water, ventilation, and lighting. We also have discussed about what is waste, what are the sources of waste, how are waste managed, and also disposal of dead bodies. In this session today, we are going to study about a very important aspect of our physical environment, which is climate. Now, as I said, climate is one of the most important aspects of a man's environment, which is the man's physical environment. Climate can be described as the weather condition prevailing in an area generally or for a prolonged period of time. So, climate is referred to the weather condition over a particular region of the earth or in the particular area of the earth over a longer period of time. Climate is not the weather condition that happens within a day, right? So, for a longer period of time, what kind of weather is prevailing in a particular area can be considered as climate. Now, when we think about climate, as I said, climate is one of the most important component of a man's physical environment. Why? Because climate influences most of the human activities. Climate has a great influence on man, animals, as well as plants. Climate determines human beings' need for shelter, clothing, habits, way of life, and also economic activities. So it is because of the climate determines the person's need for shelter. We need to have a shelter according to the climate. If when it is raining outside, we need a proper shelter to be inside. So climate influences man, animals, and plants, and climate has a great influence on the need of the man's shelter, our clothing, what kind of food that we consume. It depends, right? What kind of food we consume during a cold, rainy day and what kind of food that we consume in a hot, sunny day. So the kind of food that we eat, the kind of shelter we need is all determined by climate. Moving on, let us see the definition of climate. Now, a definition that we are going to study is given by S.S. Randhawa, and he says that climate is described or defined as the average weather condition of a particular region of the earth or an area with regard to temperature, rainfall, seasonal variation, air pressure, and weather extreme. Climate is the average weather condition of a particular region on earth or a particular area on earth. It is with regard to the rainfall, the air pressure, temperature, and seasonal variation. So all of these factors plays a major role in determining the climate of a particular area, and the climate is described as the average weather condition of a particular region of the earth. So as I said, climate is determined by various factors like the amount of rainfall, the kind of temperature, the seasonal variation, as well as the air pressure of that area. I hope you've understood what is climate. Moving on, let us have a discussion on climatic factors. So the climate, as I said, depends on various factors, and the climatic factors also depends on number of things. So basically, there are 5 different factors that affects the climate, or those are also called as climatic factors, which includes the solar energy, the temperature, atmospheric pressure, movement of the wind, and moisture or humidity in the atmosphere. Let us discuss one by one what are these. So the first one is solar energy. As the term suggests, the solar energy is the sun's energy, and solar energy is also called as insolation. What is the meaning of the term insolation? So the insolation is the solar radiation that reaches in a particular area. When this solar energy or the insolation reaches to the Earth's surface, it turns into heat. And these factors or insolation also depends on number of things. So insolation depends on the angle of sun, the duration of the day, and atmosphere to be crossed by the solar radiation. The first factor that influences the climate is the solar energy. What is solar energy? Solar energy is also called as insolation, and insolation is the amount of solar radiation that reaches out in a particular given area of the earth. The insolation, as I said, depends on various other factors such as the angle of the sun, the duration of the day, and the atmospheric layers to be crossed. The first one is angle of sun. So as we know, the earth is round and the sun or the rays of the sun do not reach to every area in the earth at a particular angle. It is obvious that the angle at which the sun radiation is reaching to the earth, which is round, differs from one place to another. So the insolation ranges from 0 degree to 90 degree, where 0 degree is the weakest and 90 degree is the most intense. So the climatic factors depends on solar energy, under which angle of sun is the first factors that influences solar energy that reaches to earth. The second one under solar energy is atmospheric layer to be crossed. Atmosphere is the transparent gaseous envelope around the earth. Now, as I said, it is a gaseous layer, but along with these gases, there are other particles such as pollen grains, dust, other suspended particles like water and smoke particles are also present in the atmosphere. So atmosphere is a gaseous transparent layer or envelope of the earth in which not just the gases but other materials such as smoke, dust, water vapors, pollen grains and other suspended particles are also found. So the insolation also depends on the atmospheric layer that the radiation of the sun has to cross. So for the sun to reach to the earth, as I said, it is a layer outside the earth, right? It is an envelope outside the earth. Sun's radiation has to cross that layer in order to reach to the earth's surface. So this layer also plays a major role in determining the climate of a particular region of the earth. The third factor that affects the insolation or solar energy is the duration of the day. Yes, the duration of the day depends the amount of solar radiation that reaches to earth. The duration of the day decides the intensity of sunlight, thereby also deciding the amount of solar radiation that is reaching to earth. If it's in the morning, the solar radiation that reaches to earth is much lesser than it is in the afternoon. So these are the three factors that influences insolation. Insolation is the first factor that influences the climate, and under insolation we have three other factors or three other components, which includes the angle of the sun, duration of the day and the atmospheric layer to be crossed. The second factor that influences the climate is of course temperature. What is temperature? The degree or intensity of the heat that is present in any substance is called as temperature. Temperature is the degree or the intensity of it that is present in a particular object. So the temperature of the place depends on various things, right? Every place, every region has different temperature. Why is that so? That is because the temperature of the particular area depends on various other things, such as the distance from the equator, the altitude, distance from the sea, and the wind. The first one is distance from the equator. As I said, as we are all aware that Earth is round, and the degree at which the solar radiation reaches to the earth is different in different places. Now, when we talk about the equator gets the direct light or direct rays of sun. It happens all around the year, and so the equator remains hot. So the first one is distance from the equator. So what is the distance of the particular region from the equator decides the temperature of the region. If it is nearby the equator, as equator receives direct sun rays and remains hot throughout, the areas near the equator will be hotter than the areas away from the equator. The second factor that decides the temperature of the particular region is the altitude. As the altitude increases, the temperature decreases. As we go to higher altitude, the temperature starts to decrease. So there is a fall of 1 degree centigrade in the height of 166 meter. The third factor that influences the temperature of the region is distance from the sea. Now, when we talk about land and the sea, we know that the land gets heated quickly and it cools down also very quickly than the water. So during the daytime, the land is more heated up than the water. The air in the land is much lighter, and the air, that is the cool breeze from the seaside, flows towards the land in order to maintain the temperature of the area. So this flow of cool breeze from the water to the land helps to maintain the temperature, especially in the coastal area. Therefore, the distance of the region from the sea also plays a major role in determining the temperature of the area. And the fourth factor that influences the temperature of the particular region is the wind. So obviously wind plays a major role in maintaining the temperature as well as determining the temperature of the place. Also depends on the direction of the wind, which means from which direction is the wind, in which direction is the wind blowing, also plays a major role in determining the temperature of the area. The third climatic factor is the atmospheric pressure. What is atmospheric pressure? The pressure that is exerted by the weight of the atmosphere is the atmospheric pressure. Now, atmospheric pressure also depends on the temperature, altitude, and the water vapors. And the atmospheric pressure is measured by an instrument called as barometer. The weather of the particular region also changes when there is changes in the atmospheric pressure. The fourth factor that affects the climate of a particular region is the movement of the wind. Now, wind moves from high pressure area to an area of low pressure. The fourth factor that influences the climate is also the movement of the wind. As I told, the movement of the wind plays a major role in affecting the climate as well as the weather of the particular area. The speed of the wind is measured by anemometer, and the direction of the wind is also measured by weather clock. And the last factor that influences the climate is the moisture or humidity in the atmosphere. So what is humidity? Humidity is the amount of water vapor that is present in the air. The amount of water vapors that is present in the air is humidity. If there are a lot of water vapors that is present in the air, then the humidity will be higher. And higher the humidity, the wetter it feels outside. So the moisture or humidity in the atmosphere also plays a major role in determining and maintaining the climate of a particular region. What is humidity? Humidity is, so if there are a lot of water vapor that is present in the atmosphere, then the humidity will be higher. So moisture or humidity in the atmosphere also plays a major role in determining the climate of the region. So that is it for today's class. Today we have discussed a very short and an interesting topic, which is climate, under which we have seen what is climate and what are the various factors that influence the climate of a particular region. There are majorly 5 factors, which includes the solar energy, the movement of the wind, temperature, moisture or humidity in the atmosphere, and atmospheric pressure. I hope the class was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next session where we will discuss about climate change and what are the various factors that are bringing the climate change and how it can be prevented and controlled. Thank you and have a great day ahead.